Bite-Sized and Bossy, rising up the ranks, handing out encouragement, deposits in their banks. Inspiration coming at you like a river flowing. Women paving paths, look at them going. Bite-Sized and Bossy, rising up the ranks, handing out encouragement, deposits in their banks. Inspiration coming.
Welcome to Byte-Sized and Bossy. I'm Erin.
I'm Tammy.
And I'm Chrissy.
And this is
Byte-Sized
and Bossy. That's definitely the best time we've ever done that. Definitely the best time. It was pretty good. We all took a pause and then we went into it. So I felt like it was really good. All right. Well, we're really excited for our guest today. So Liz Seelye is here with us and she's going to introduce herself and we're going to have a great conversation. And I'm super excited because she was an introduction through another mutual female connection who said, you have to meet this woman. She's unbelievable. So Liz, tell us who you are.
Thank you for that inspiring and uplifting song to start. I told all of you that all of my littles love the theme song and they're singing that on ×2 speed all the time. So it's really
and there's
fast.
multiple littles. There's not like one little. You have multiple children.
You have a whole chorus?
Yes, a whole chorus. I'm going to teach them to do Byte-Sized and Bossy in harmony.
I love it.
So that'll be.
We should get choreography
For it.
I think that's a big idea. Thank you for inviting me today. Thanks for uplifting and enlightening the industry. Super excited to be with you.
Oh.
I'm Liz, CEO and founder of StarryEyed Strategy. We're a global brand consultancy based here in Boulder, Colorado. And we create, recreate, and activate big brands. So think Stanley, your TikTok trending tumblers, CAVA, Chick-fil-A, Papa John's, and also small brands. So we do a lot of work with independent restaurants, especially here in the Denver, Boulder area, and nonprofits. We mostly work with brand leaders and sometimes founders in consumer insights, strategy, innovation, design, activation to make sure their brands shine.
Wow.
And about 70% of what we do is in food. And that's my background in hospitality and restaurants with all of you. And we have a lot of, especially experience in franchise brands, which is super fun. If it's not in food, it's usually in clean energy. And then outside of work, as Erin said, I have 5 littles, ages 12 to just turn 5.
5 is a lot. That's like you could have a basketball team.
Yeah,
I believe.
Someone said that to me in the airport when I only had 4 kids. Someone said, you almost have a basketball team. I was like, to my husband, Trevor, how many people are on a basketball team? 5. So I was like, we need one more. Just one
Sports stuff, Erin.
That's too many. I don't know how people do it. I have 3 and I say I have 3 too many. It's too much. I'm exhausted. I don't know how you do it.
It's a party. It is a party.
It's definitely a party.
So they're 12, 10, 9, 7, 5, and they're the lights of my life. We have so much fun together. And I actually include them a lot of times in my work.
Oh,
You have homework. Like they come home with homework that I always tell the teacher, like, this wasn't his homework. This was my homework. I don't understand why I'm involved in his homework.
Yes,
And I'm doing,
say that.
I wrapped 2 Valentine's Day boxes this week and had to cut holes in them and went, why is this my homework? Can we give kids grade level stuff they can do on their own?
Well,
You know what I started doing? We'll just make one Valentine's box that comes back year after year, and we just upgrade it. So one of my kids made a Stanley. It's like 3D out of an oatmeal container, and this year she brought it back and upgraded with a straw topper. That was a 3D
so your kids
heart.
are smarter than mine.
That's beautiful.
We used to.
I say just make it one time and let it last.
Yes.
Let it ride.
I just want to know. So I had 4 kids at home at one time.
Yes.
Most of mine have flown the nest, but I just want to know how expensive it is to take all 5 of them out to eat dinner.
Yes.
Question.
It's a lot. I think it depends on where you go.
Yeah.
Lucky
She goes
for
to
us,
Yum.
every time we
go to a Yum brand restaurant, right?
I have to go to a Yum brand restaurant.
Because you're Yum alum. Yum alum.
I know.
Yes.
I'm alum too. Yum alum.
Yes.
Yum alum. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to say that.
You know,
I'm so glad too. Yes. Well, and that's what I was going to say. The restaurant love runs deep because my first job after grad school was at KFC. And that's how it all began for me.
I was going to
I
ask.
really like KFC, don't you? Like it's so good. No one's saying anything. I love it. I will like order it, DoorDash it to myself sometimes. It's
I
so
like their
good.
I have no
Coleslaw.
choice.
Coleslaw.
Yeah,
I
I
like
have
their
no
coleslaw.
choice but to love it. I love their biscuits when I worked there. But I started after grad school. I started at Yum and did brand management in grilled chicken, which I'm a little bit sad went away. Grilled chicken was phenomenal.
Oh,
And then switched to innovation. So they're continuing to innovate around fried, and that's fine.
So do you still keep in touch with your other fellow Yum alums?
I do. It's amazing. You know what? I wanted to stay at Yum forever. I made very good friends, and we've all gone in different spaces, mostly in the restaurant industry. One of my buddies who I donned cheese head hats with, you Wisconsinites would appreciate. We put our cheese hats on for the Cheesy Snacker launch, and he's now at Big. There are other friends who are at Pepsi and Fairlife, and yeah, we've all kept in close touch.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really nice start, especially you all have all heard about the amazing Yum culture. I think that was a pivotal part of my career and something too that I hope to replicate with, like I mentioned, the courses that we're putting together. It's just a really special place and a spot where everyone is trusting in positive intentions and really trying to bring joy to the world.
so let's talk about Yum had some big news come out this week. Did you see with their Yum Byte internal built?
Yes.
I mean, they
tech
stole our name, but
platform?
it's fine.
Acquisition. I know. I feel like
We named it
imitation is
first.
the best form of flattery, so
Yes.
it should be good.
Yeah, but so interesting, a gigantic brand. So we know that like a lot of larger brands have attempted building some tech internally, right? And
Mhm.
for me being from the tech side, whenever I hear the stories of restaurant brands hiring their own engineering, hiring their own R&D team, I have to stop and think, whoa, I don't know if that is a great idea or not, because it's hard to build tech. Building tech is incredibly difficult. And Yum went out and apparently very quietly, because that was the first I heard of it, built their own entire platform, not just point of sale, not just loyalty, not just online ordering, not just AI. They built everything for consolidation. And that is some really big news. And I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, really.
And as we've seen, I think we see MarTech and AI and just leveraging all of that. That will be the greatest competitive advantage, especially when it comes to restaurants and how they operate. A lot of our work is in the stories that they tell, not just what you sell, but what you stand for. A lot of times that is looking back to move forward, how it all started, what's the inspiration. You had one of our faves on the other day with Heather from Taco John's. We worked with them to figure out how you tap into the brand equities of how it began, but also what that means moving forward. So I think it's going to be a nice balance of looking forward, using the best technology, tapping into that to, things like lessening labor, but also keeping the story at the forefront and ways to make that more engaging and more of an interactive experience. I think it's super fun.
Well, and that's kind of what you do, right? Like you're really focused on that brand insights and strategy piece of the work. And you mentioned a little bit ago, like Yum alum and someone you're working with. And so you have something coming out soon that, like, I don't know if you've really announced it, but I think here's the right place to talk about it and what you have brewing to come out.
I think it's a perfect place to talk about it. Like I said, I just love that you're inspiring and uplifting, especially women in our hospitality industry. And yes, in collaboration with another Yum alum, we are creating an online suite of online courses called StarryEyed Academy. And our goal is to bring back some of that excitement around training and development. I will talk forever about the importance of working from home, especially as a working parent. It's necessary to have your flexibility, your autonomy, freedom, especially for your schedule. At the same time, what we've seen is training has really taken a dive, training and development. And especially this next generation, Gen Z, is feeling very stressed at work because they don't have those in-person development opportunities that we probably did or that we wished for. So it'll be designed to provide those marketing fundamentals. So we're thinking insights lab and strategy lab and storytelling lab. How do you sell your ideas in? And it's something that we hope to launch in the fall, but we're already putting plans in place and really getting feedback. So I'll probably ask you later for all of your expert input of what you'd want to see and what would help train teams that you are working with, collaborating with in the industry, so that we can give all the fundamentals, none of the fluff, real world case studies that we've worked on, so that you can see how it happens in the marketplace. A lot of times we say we're helping teams reclaim creativity and come up with these starry-eyed ideas and strategies that work in the real world, because we've been on that side, on the inside of companies. So show the teams how it can really happen.
That's freaking awesome. I have worked from home since 2005, which is so crazy. When the pandemic happened, everybody's like, how are you dealing with it? I'm like, I don't really know any different. But what I will say, as a leader at that point and launching a software company startup that launched in like 2019, training people via Zoom when people were just learning like how to use Zoom and like how to work from home was probably one of the largest challenges of my entire career. It was really, really tough. Yeah.
And what was the most challenging part?
Just, I think engagement, number one, is really hard. I mean, I could probably write a book about some of the things that I witnessed in some of my training classes that we hosted from, 650 salespeople, and, salespeople march to the beat of their own drum. And I could tell some really funny stories. Maybe we'll save that for another day. But just engagement, retention, I think, is also really big. You have people on trainings, all throughout the day, and then you want to send them like a recap survey at the end of the day to see if they're retaining anything. It was really, really hard from an engagement and a retention standpoint. Really hard. Yeah. So you got to figure out how to make that interactive. I think almost like gamification added into it. Yeah. So I think
I love that. Yeah. We've been trying to do a lot of gamification in projects day to day too. We just did a project for a predominantly burger brand, and we had we played Burger Bachelor to bring that back, because now there's the Golden Bachelor
thing right now.
Me too.
So we had the Burger Bachelor, and you got to vote for your favorite burger with a rose.
Can you tell us the burger brand? Is it a secret?
I'll tell you afterwards. I'll tell the three of you. It's top secret.
So you said this training is going to be like it's virtual training. So my daughter is in driver's ed right now. When I went through driver's ed, it was in real life, and she's literally learning how to drive on the internet, and it's all virtual, and it scares the crap out of me. Does it scare you at all that you're launching these virtual classes and school? Like, how does that feel?
Not yet, because I think we'll be able to have a nice hybrid. And what we're starting to outline is what the first cohort's going to be, which could be a little bit of a hybrid, some online and some in real life, where you come together and talk about how you're applying these principles to what it is you're doing. And we're also pulling together this toolbox of templates and frameworks. And that's the other thing that we've been researching. What would be most helpful to brand leaders today? And what we found so far is things like your brand story framework. How do you tell your story in a compelling way? Even the consumer insights framework, or your consumer audience profile. And that's something we helped Stanley with. They had 5 different personas.
Wait, did you?
And it was way too many.
Car on fire? Is that how you got that?
That was. I can't take credit for that. No, that was after.
This episode is sponsored by Stanley. No, I'm just kidding.
Feel free to send us all Stanley cups.
I have already.
We're gonna need all the drinks.
Well, I have a question to ask, and I feel like I have a
go.
Get in there.
She's 12, Erin. Go ahead.
We're so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, try it. So what I wanted to understand is, you said you were at Yum, but now you're CEO of your own company, and there's a lot of women out there that would love to follow that same path. So can you talk to us about how you went from being an employee to being an owner?
Yes, I would love to. It's one of my favorite things.
Great.
Well, I should preface this by saying I thought I'd stay at Yum for a long, long time, and I loved it. But my husband asked me to marry him, and he wanted me to move home to Colorado. And that was before work from home was a thing. And I said, why should I be the one to quit my job? Why is it always the woman should move?
Word.
Cheers.
So he's amazing. We both quit our jobs. We got married in the mountains, and we traveled through South America for 9 months.
Oh, wow.
We then moved back to Colorado, leveled the playing field so that we could both prioritize each other. And before I left Yum, I took my team to a little innovation firm based in Boulder. And when I got back, I got my dream job. I had 1 year to wait for my dream job to open. And I got a job at that brand innovation firm. I thought I'd stay for a couple years, go back to client side. Instead, I stayed for 12 because we worked on all kinds of fun things like Starbucks and Cinnabon, Taco Bell, Wendy's, Jack in the Box, a lot of restaurants there too. And about 3 years ago, I left to build my own brands, in part because we worked on so many big brands that we were missing out, I thought, on some of the up and coming opportunities, either startups or especially some of these independent restaurants who might need that sort of brand strategy focus for expansion.
Have you ever considered working on the tech side? We all, Aaron was a leader of MarTech, Christy worked in tech, I work in tech. Have you considered doing that kind of work for not necessarily a consumer brand, but for a tech company?
Not yet. I love that idea.
Me too.
It's not necessarily tech, but I co-own a clean energy company with my husband, and we're getting into more electrification. So it's been a nice little introduction. But I love what you
girls are doing. I don't even know what that means. I might be the only one, but I have no idea what.
No, I was going to ask the same thing, Aaron. I was like, can you tell us what clean energy is?
Yes, clean energy. It started in solar, and everybody's putting solar panels on their house, and that way you can have your energy from the sun. And now it's progressed into heat pumps and mini splits, EV chargers. So having everything come from electricity instead of fossil fuels. So it's a little bit. It's not the same as restaurant technology, but it's been a nice little tutorial of that side of things.
Still benefit from it, right? So
exactly.
Also, I still only understood 50% of that, but it's because our listeners are probably much smarter than I am, and you are clearly much smarter than I am, and you're unbelievable. Like, to have this clean energy company do what you do. We talked about Stanley, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, CAVA.
I think she's like mentioned every single large household brand that we all know, and she's worked with them, which is really impressive. Hey, Liz, guess what? I am a coal miner's daughter, so I'm very familiar with fossil fuels.
You know. Well, and I lived in Houston for a long time. So for a long time, we've been in oil and gas, now to coal. And so on.
Absolutely.
So how do you manage, from a female aspect, how do you manage these 5 children? 5. You have a basketball team of people that are somewhere in your house, and you are managing being the CEO of basically 2 companies. And
my husband does the clean energy. I'm just focused on StarryEyed, really. They're a percentage time, but I can't.
We're like an investor.
But you have a lot going on. How are you handling that?
Again, a team effort with my husband. When I had babies for the first time, my sister was our nanny, and it was amazing because back then, you remember, you were traveling as soon as you got back to work. I was traveling when my baby was 3 months old. I think a big part is extracting yourself from the workplace. I was just talking to a friend today about the importance of having that freedom and flexibility. I think too, just organizing at the start of the week, things like getting your meals together. Or I was thinking, my sisters and I are always exchanging mom hacks. I do what my mother did. If you put your shirt into the wash inside out, you receive it inside out.
I bet you she's one of those really organized people like Artie.
Oh yeah, I love her interview. So I think a lot of it starts at the beginning of the week. And speaking of gamifying, girls, I've been trying to do that too, where sock matching contests. Whoever can match the most socks is the winner.
I love it.
I just yell a lot, so it's almost the same thing.
It's pretty similar. It is. But back to Tammy's question. How do you? Because I think there are a lot of women who are, waiting for their shot. And how do you create your own path? I think it was the question of after a long time, working for somebody else. And there was, I shared this with Erin. I haven't talked about this a lot because it was mostly about working for brands of all sizes, but also at the company that I loved, there was a new CEO who sort of operated with that scarcity mindset that we see so often, especially with women. And there were never any personal attacks. It was more, there was not a seat at the table for other strong women. So a lot of us were
pushed
either,
out.
Out or working our way out. There was a lot of nepotism, a lot of family favoritism, not a seat at the table. So that's where you say, I have to leave and make my own. And I love that you girls talk about that, where you make your own table. You make the table bigger.
Literally what Tammy says all the time. She goes, I always go, we believe there's one seat at the table. And Tammy, what do you say?
I don't remember.
You said, we're making a big effing table. We're making a bigger table. That you
I'm
said
bringing my own chair. I'm bringing my own chair.
Tammy's like, I don't even remember the genius I said.
I think you said it. I don't think I said it.
I don't think so. I think it was you.
Well, Sam will have to fact check us there. But well, so here's the thing. So you make that decision, right? I feel like as a woman, you have that mental place where I hate this. I want to get out of here. Then what? You start saving money to knowing that that's going to happen. Do you look for an investor or a partner? Do you go get a client first so you've got some income? Like, what are some of those like tactical things? Because I'm super impressed with what you have done, and I think that there's a lot of people listening that would have similar desires.
Yep.
Well, thank you for saying that. I think it was less, I hate this. It was more, it doesn't fit with my moral compass and it makes me very sad. So how can I recoup some of the collaboration and creativity that I had at my company before that had been replaced? How can I create a place that people would want to be, that would be inspiring to those who work there, but also to the clients we work with? So it did start, actually, this is a wild story. One of my favorite clients and friends came to me on this. She was at a big entertainment brand and I was at my brand consultancy, and she called me apart from that and said, I want to start my own brand. Something, CPG and smaller, would you help me? And we quit our jobs together and did that and created her brand. At the same time, I had asked a couple of people, if they would be willing to invest with me. So I didn't get investors, but I did have a few clients to start. And so we started that. Another favorite client who I'd worked with for years and years and years on Sbarro and Wendy's was actually a family friend of a concept called the Colorado Cherry Company. And the Colorado Cherry Company is a 100-year-old pie shop. And the pie shop wanted to evolve and get ready for national expansion. And with Colorado Cherry, you think only Colorado in the state, you think cherries, only sweet pies, but they had sweet and savory pies. They had some big dreams to expand. So the 100-year-old family-owned brand, we ended up evolving into Legacy Pie Company. And that was one of our first brand projects where we did everything from the positioning, gleaming the insights, to the brand identity, the store design, the story. And now they've done such a beautiful job. If you girls come to Denver, you have to stop in for some tastes. But they've not only activated more of the emotional piece, where it's all about mastering these family recipes and involving the community, how people vote on their favorite flavors like crumble, but you can also buy your piece of the pie by investing in their next pie shops.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. I like that
really
piece of the pie.
Yeah, it's an amazing
smart
angle of the loyalty component too. And then we also discovered, even back to that first workshop, of identifying what should this brand be as we evolve it into something new that it can expand nationally. The functional benefits, it was probably one of the best days where we ordered everything off of Goldbelly, every single pie you can try. And we realized that they were one of the few that had real butter in the crust. So they have this really adorable butter bus that rolls around town like their pie pop-up. And they're just engaged, and the whole Denver community is infatuated with their couple of stores. So those were our first forays into working with, like I said, some of those really heart-centered brands and expanding a little bit. So I would say, back to your question, Tammy, think about the things that you might be missing that you are not seeing in your day-to-day, and put those into the new brand that you want to create. And we also did have a few brands to get us started. So it was a nice little launching pad.
Some of the stuff I also heard in there was that you did it with a friend, right? So you weren't solo. You took a little bit of some investment money, but weren't probably friends and family type of money. What are some of the other things I think I heard in there? Oh, the other piece I heard was I think your friend that you were working with, were they a vendor? Right?
The friend who we quit our jobs separately and we started our companies separately. So it wasn't like we were together. And if I were to change one thing, I think that would be it. Where
long if I quit with a friend.
Sorry.
Aaron and I quit our jobs, we would never get any work done.
I know.
Never.
We had her get hers off the ground and mine off the ground. But my husband has really he was the one to come alongside and help me get things moving, at least from a financial standpoint, to get those, that runway. But sometimes I think entrepreneurship can be a little bit lonely. That's the only downside. And that's where I think you call on my clients have become my favorite friends and mentors for that reason, the ones that I've worked with for a long, long time, who I'll nominate later. But I think that is the difference. You have to build up those people around you, because if you do say, I'm going to leave, I'm going to start my own, you got to find your people who you want to be with day to day.
That was, I guess, the point I was trying to make, because I personally echo this a lot, is like, your vendors are not your enemy, right? Or the people that you're working with on the other side of the table, they could become your partners in the future. They are also the people often that hear about an opening or, hey, you should meet this person. So I really encourage people to sort of reach across the aisle and look at them not as a transaction, but as someone that you might be doing business with for a long time.
Yeah. I think that's a brilliant point. It's so funny you say that too, because I posted on LinkedIn yesterday, I am not your vendor. I am not your contractor.
I know, I don't like
I
the
am
word.
your partner.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
I know. I think a lot of times that, and having been for a short time on the client side, but also owning my own business, you can see how that could be interpreted by people. And I think the difference in my mind is I've chosen to work on multiple brands instead of just one.
Yeah.
So the vendor vernacular is really interesting.
Well, it's a choice. You made a choice, and it's funny because we believe it's this side of the aisle, like Tammy said, or the other side of the aisle, but it's not. There's such a blend there. I think we should do some food for thought. Chrissy, you want to kick us off for food for thought?
Yeah. Let's see. Food for thought today. First, I really enjoyed. What a fun job you have. It seems like you have a really fun job, and getting to work on so many different projects is really awesome. So with that, what is your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant, if we're talking small or independent, I did not appreciate, I will say, Mexican food before I moved to Texas. And I moved to Houston, Texas. Forbes magazine says it's the next great global city, and they have every kind of cuisine you can imagine, but especially Tex-Mex. So that's become my new favorite. And here in town, we have a place called Tiaco, which you girls would love. It's margaritas as big as your head, all kinds of wild taco combinations. I also love a place called Santo, which is owned by a friend and former Top Chef winner, season 6, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it was all about sort of a New Mexico, and also amazing margaritas. I think there's a theme. I think it's about margaritas.
Yeah, it's Friday. Of course it is. So it's really not about the food. It's about the margaritas. But I'm with you on that. I'm a big margarita.
For bigger restaurants, I love Bar Taco. That's one of the chains that I really appreciate. I love that you can order via app and my margarita magically appears.
Ah, that's awesome. I love
I
it. And I
love
love
margarita
that
magically
utilizing that
appears
kind of
too.
technology. Oh, sorry, Aaron.
Exactly. Speaking of restaurant tech, which yes, I would love to get more into. And I also want you to talk to another friend who will be in my recommendations when it comes to that. But I think they do a really nice job of blending both the personal and the tech enabled to make for that seamless experience.
Well, as we're all about to embark at Whirl to continue on the food for thought, if you were Barbie, which kind of Barbie would you be?
Oh, I love that.
Thank you for
Great
asking.
question, Tammy. Great question.
That is a wonderful question. I'm trying to embody for next week 1980s Dream Glow Barbie. And she wore a sparkly glow-in-the-dark skirt full of stars, pink top, and then had like a shawl, which I can't really figure out how to do yet. But the rest, I think I've got figured out thanks to Amazon.
I love
You
it.
guys are going all out. I kind of wanted to go as like weird Barbie from the movie with the marker on her face and the hair.
All black.
Like that is like
I think that's a big idea. I don't think anybody's going to do that. And I think you should do it.
it's definitely a choice. Choices were made.
All right, so we got Dream Glow Barbie, and I actually think that I had, or my sister had, a Dream Glow Barbie, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Do you remember her? Yeah, she glowed.
Yes,
She
I
glowed
do.
in the dark.
Yeah, we were big Barbie
My
fans.
my 5 littles are like, we will. Well, the girls, not the boy. They have glow stars that they're going to try to put on the skirt, and we'll see what we can do.
I
I
if it
can't
works.
wait for this video. Just in case anyone missed it at the beginning, she has 5 littles that sing our theme song, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We need a
So we're
video of
waiting on the video. We're going to show it in this podcast so like people can see because I'm just so excited to see it.
Yep.
It is
We need
catchy.
another verse, so maybe they can come up.
It's so catchy. Well, and in ×2 speed, it sounds amazing as well.
Time.
Just as good.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Aaron, food for thought question.
So if you weren't doing what you're doing now, you had your like number one dream job. You wanted to grow up and do this. What was that thing that you
Yeah.
thought you were going to be doing?
I thought I would be a female plastic surgeon. I thought I would be helping people. You know, in the marketing world, we like to touch people's lives emotionally. I thought I wanted to do that physically. That's what my dad did. He was a plastic surgeon, and my mom was a nurse, and they had their own surgery center in Colorado, and they did
Wow.
amazing things. They would, fix up kids who'd been bitten by dogs or car accident victims. They've traveled all over the world.
That's very
fixing
different because when I
babies.
hear that word, I think like breast augmentation. I don't think.
Well, there was that. There is that too, which I can appreciate just as much. So, and they would do that. They had an aesthetic surgery center where they would do breast augmentations and facelifts, and all of us. I have 5 siblings, and all of us would take turns working at the surgery center, helping with filing. I tried to make a website back in the day. But when they were done with that, then they traveled the world and fixed kids' cleft lip and palate. So I felt like there was a nice balance of.
Did you get free plastic surgery then?
I was wondering this. I'm
Ish.
not gonna lie.
So, and there's the rub. We were all encouraged to do something that doesn't involve touching other people because you have to show up to get paid. And my dad wanted us to have the freedom that he did not. So he steered us away from medicine and into all these other paths, which I'm glad he did, especially as a working mom.
Yeah.
At the same time, now we're like, who's going to help me out in my later years? They did have a laser
as we
machine
get
at
older,
the
we
house.
all-
So
I think there's a lot of women out there and it's getting more normalized. Like I went in for a tummy tuck and I was like, oh, is this weird? Is it going to be frowned upon? And they did it. And I was like, it made me feel so much more confident.
Mhm.
And so I think there's still a place for that. And so
I love
I'm
it.
sorry that you're not a plastic surgeon.
Yeah, we want free
Thank
plastic
you.
surgery.
I know. We need some.
So do I.
Sponsor-
I would have so many friends who could hook us up with
Is your
incomes
dad-
right now.
Sponsor the podcast.
Yes, we need friends who can do plastic surgery, do all of the toxins, all of
Yeah.
the fillers, all of the things.
Fillers, yes.
Yes, all the things. 'Cause
So
we're
they
getting
still,
old.
I will say, they still have a laser machine at their house. So my sisters and I are all fur free, but the rest, we're like, who's going to help us with this?
yeah.
For
How are we going to
free.
get this done?
Can I come over?
Fur free, fuzz free. But what about the rest? It was poor planning on our part. Now I look back and I say each one of us should have been doctor, lawyer, dentist.
Right.
So we'd have all of our needs covered.
Yes.
That was poor planning.
That's actually a really great idea.
Well, someone else that we had on the podcast said, you need a friend that does everything. Like you need, like this friend does this. And she goes, this friend does
Yes.
my eyelashes. This friend can do this. And I was like, I need more friends.
Well, so we don't call that friends in my circles. We call that a team. Like
Yeah,
if-
I need a team.
I have a girlfriend who has team Carla, and like she's got, her hair person, her eyelash person, nail person, and it's a team.
I love it.
This is my plastic surgeon.
My
This is
team.
my lawyer. We're ready to go.
That's lovely.
That's awesome.
Anyways, well, Liz, it's been really wonderful having you here today and getting to know you. And this is the part of the podcast where we generally do ask our guests to name somebody else that we should seek out for an interview who has a great story to tell.
Yes. Well, I would love to introduce you to Talia Solomon, who I mentioned, my fellow ex-Yum alum.
What is it, Chrissy?
Who is going to
Yum alum.
Yum alum, who's going to be helping with this idea of StarryEyed Academy and our suite of online courses. I also think you should talk to Sarah McAloon, who had some time at Pizza Hut. She's my favorite client and friend. She's now at Del Taco, leading them. They're glorious.
We would
I've
love
been
to talk to her.
Yes. Jen Johnston's another favorite, who's a
She's a friend of mine. I had just asked her to be on.
She said she got your note, and I was like, well, I'm going to double down. You have to go.
I love that.
That's awesome.
And then I have a group who you would love, who you'll meet next week. We all got together at QSR FSR conference last fall, and they've just become such a wonderful support system, and we all encourage each other. We have a text group. We're all getting together when we get to Whirl. But you'll see Christina.
Bring me.
You can join the text group.
All right.
Okay, so
I
who's
also love a good posse.
Christina Clark, who's going to lead our imposter phenomenon.
I like
getting
her.
her PhD. So amazing. Liz Moscow is the food futurist I mentioned, who's doing the restaurant tech and has a new offering with AI for hospitality.
Nice.
Gotta talk to her. So I'll send you all these names. But everybody's excited.
If you want to make the invites, we would love that. We would love to have these amazing women on the podcast. And like I said, we love a good posse of women. And that's what next week's going to be. And it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
It's going to be amazing.
Nashville has no idea what is coming.
I don't have boots.
Nashville is accustomed to a lot of bachelorette parties.
Yeah.
So they'll be semi-ready for us.
Maybe we should all just bring some veils and just fake it.
I'm going to bring my bride thing. I'm going to just like wear a sash the whole time. It'll be great.
Can I bring one that says it's my birthday?
Sure.
Yes, you may. And I'm going to make you glow in the dark.
We're bringing
Add some glow
everything full
stickers.
circle right now. Liz, you're unbelievable.
Awesome.
You are literally a shining star. I know
You
you've
really are.
given a lot of credit to your husband during this podcast, but
Yep.
it has
Amazing.
nothing, and he cannot shine a light on how great and how shining you are. But I'm sure he's wonderful too, and we can talk about that later. But you are unbelievable, what you've done, what you've achieved, and where you've come from. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. And anyone who's listening, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube if you want to see our pretty faces. And we'll see you in Nashville next week.
But
Right?
hit subscribe because that's how
Yeah.
we're going to get sponsors so that we
Yes.
can get
Subscribe to these
Yeah.
StarryEyed ladies. Thank you so much.
Share
for
with
having
all
me.
your friends. Share with all your friends.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Byte-Sized and Bossy, rising up the ranks, handing out encouragement, deposits in their banks. Inspiration coming at you like a river flowing. Women paving paths, look at them going.